Hi there, this is John Frenay, and welcome to an Encore presentation of our Legacy Business Spotlight. These are best done in person, and with the current state of emergency restrictions, that's just not possible. So we will be re-releasing our past episodes every Saturday at noon until this pandemic is in our collective rearview mirror. Until then, enjoy this Encore presentation of our Legacy Business Spotlight.
Some businesses succeed, some don't. Then there are those that seem to have been around forever. The true entrepreneurial success story. How did they do it? What was their vision? What makes a success? In this special episode for Eye on Annapolis, we speak with the true success stories, those business owners that have been around for decades, learn from their successes and failures. Now, here's host John Frenay.
I'm really excited for this Legacy Business Brief because I am down here with not only a member of the Hall of Fame, but I am sitting in, I think, the only restaurant in Anne Arundel County that is on the water. Is that true?
On the water physically?
That's where I'm going.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We should put that on the T-shirt.
Well, welcome, Joe McGovern from Stan & Joe's. And we are down here at Stan & Joe's Riverside in beautiful Galesville, and it is a foggy December morning. Actually, it's an afternoon, but it is just absolutely spectacular here. The river is nice and smooth. The boats are moored, and I can smell the half-price burgers cooking back in the kitchen because it is Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, that's right. So, yeah, we're very blessed, John. This is just sometimes you have to stop and, they say smell the roses. It's take a brief second to look at the view and realize, we've been, Stan and I and my wife and a lot of us have been busting our butts for years to get here. And now we've got this thing we can build and leave it. It's an ongoing project, and I love it.
Well, this is a fairly new thing. You've been in here just over a year down here in Galesville, and this is the place that used to be called Thursdays, and
Correct.
It used to be called Steamboat Landing. Right. At one point. So you've been here just over a year, but I want to go back about 15 years, and you were tending bar someplace.
Right, McGarvey's.
And you all of a sudden purchased Sean Donlan's, which
Correct.
Is at 37
West Street. Beautiful uptown Annapolis.
And I believe your partner, your cohort in crime, was bartending part-time, at least, at the Ebb Tide.
Correct.
Stan & Joe's was born.
Right. Well, Stan and I, but both being local bartenders and professionals, always had the dream of owning our own place. So you'll find a lot of bartenders always say they want to buy their own place. We had been friends for a while. You go visit your friends at each other's bar, and the conversation always came around to that talk about someday. Someday.
Right. It's always there.
And a friend of a friend called and said that the Sean Donlan's was available, and were we serious? And we looked at each other, and back in 2007, and took second mortgages, each of us, and as Stan likes to say, we put all on the table, and we went all in.
That's a scary proposition.
Well, especially when about 6 weeks later, the market collapsed. Yeah. We heard a loud thud in New York, and we were like, what was that? And the bank said, don't worry about it. Just keep signing the papers.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we're very blessed. It was owning your own business is terribly hard on you. But then again, it's what's the old Army thing? It's the best job you'll ever love, or hardest job you'll ever love.
Yeah, the worst job you'll ever hate, or whatever. It's all of the above as you go through
amen.
it. I mean, it's with employees and mortgages and bills and vendors and everything else that goes with owning a business. It
Correct.
is certainly not for the faint of heart.
No, and you got to be committed to it. Once you're in, you're in.
I've worked for myself for so many years, and I jokingly say that you can pick any body part on me, and I'll give it up for somebody that pays my health insurance every month and gives me a solid paycheck every single week. It's the same one. I would love for that. But Stan & Joe's has really become sort of a staple of the Annapolis bar scene. I mean, there have been some that have been around a lot longer than you guys. I mean, you've got Middleton's, you've got McGarvey's and whatnot that have been there, and they're sort of when you think of Annapolis, that's that. But I mean, you guys have really carved out a great niche. I mean, McGarvey's tends to be a little bit more upscale, if you will, as far as the dress. I mean, you guys are down home, casual. Let's have fun. Your slogan is, lose the drama.
Right.
And you guys have just you've got live music every night, and you're always doing things for the community. Whether it be for the Naval Academy mids, or whether you've got visiting people. I know I love the morning of the St. Patrick's Day parade when you go in there and Governor Hogan and Lieutenant Governor Rutherford are sneaking in the back door.
Right. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I'm very blessed. I come from a family. My father, rest his soul, was a firefighter and a D.C. cop. So I grew up with cops and firefighters in my home. He was a clinical psychologist, and he, if you ever watched that show Blue Bloods, that Sunday night, that Irish Sunday night dinner, that was my family. And when officers were having problems or just needed to talk to somebody, they would come to talk to my father. We would have them over for dinner. Mom would cook them a good old corned beef something and something with potatoes, and then they would go off and talk. So helping out the first responders, and my father was also a Navy veteran from World War II. So Navy, first responders, Notre Dame, all of that was just in my blood. And Stan's always been great with the music. He's a professional musician himself. Sure. So that was kind of the tie-in. And then doing the live music 7 nights a week, we don't do a cover, and that's so we're trying to get, like, one of our best bands, Sean Owen, who I know you know, was a waiter of ours 20 years ago, and now he's very close to making a living as a musician, and I couldn't be happier for him.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, the place that you've got up there is wonderful. I mean, it's the staff is great. I mean, you're always out. You're at all the festivals. I know that you've got your sort of little mobile business as well. But you've got the wonderful patio in the back. Upstairs, so you've got catering, and there have been many events. I know they've had the comedy with Free Range Improv, which I guess rest in peace. I think they're kind of done.
I think the lead Dan is headed off to Ohio or something. Out of here, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but you guys have just become a staple, and I mean, your food. I don't mean to insult you, but it's not gourmet food. But damn, it's good.
It's meat potatoes.
It is exactly what you need. It's comfort food.
Yeah.
My favorites are the stogies.
Yeah, that's people love the stogies.
Yep, they absolutely do. And you do carry it down here at San Joe's Riverside, but you've got the prime rib, which is also very much on point.
Yeah,
and very affordable too, I might add.
Yeah, I mean, you said a comfort. We're not frou-frou and micro gastro techno whatever. We're solid good meat and potatoes and fresh seafood, and down here we got into crabs, and up in Annapolis you have to have a good crab dip and a good crab cake, and we're getting fresh oysters right off the dock, which we're preparing it. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Literally the boat pulls in. He's like, "Hey Joe," I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take a bushel. How you doing?"
Oh my God,
it's really cool. That was one of the cool things this summer. Same with the crabs. It was literally right off the boat.
Oh, that's neat. That's neat. Well, how did Stan and Joe's grow? Okay, so you and Stan decided to mortgage your house and take on all the stress on your own, and now you've got this business that you've got to keep up with in Annapolis. You expanded into Edgewater at one point.
Yeah. No, Edgewater, we knew we wanted to be down here on the water. We were thinking about Edgewater being a stepping stone to South County, and which in a way it was, because we made great friends down here in South County, and that's why we're here now. Edgewater was great for the first couple years, but it's in a center and it's kind of out of the way, and there's 100 reasons why it didn't work, although it did. I mean, and we sold it as a viable business, but it just didn't catch on the way we had hoped. It
didn't meet your expectations. I get it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's 7 years. We put a lot of effort in there. We made a lot of friends. We did same thing we do at West Street, and we're going to do here, fundraisers and helping out the local firehouses and barracks. And I mean, I'm very proud of Edgewater. I just wish I could have done more. I feel it feels incomplete to me if I'm going to bare my soul, But I'm glad that the Coopers bought it, and they're going to do a great job, and it allows me to concentrate on this. This is the dream here in Galesville. This is the dream. Having a nice pub in Annapolis, doing great, and then bringing that spirit and fun and funkiness and casualness down here.
Sure.
And that's the game plan.
Well, if nobody has ever been down here, you go down a Dean Rosenthal song. You go down Muddy Creek Road to hang a left on Galesville.
Yeah, it's a very easy shot from Annapolis. It's down Route 2, left on 214, right on Muddy Creek, left on Galesville.
And takes you to the water and take
there
a right.
You are, yeah.
And you're right there.
Yeah.
And literally, when I jokingly said that this is the only restaurant on the water, we are literally on the water. We are built on a pier out in the West River?
We are on the West River. We had a bunch of Annapolis people come in this summer, and they said it was about a 30-minute ride on an easy day, maybe hour and a half, 2 hour sail. But we have 28 transient boat slips, so we get a great day down here. You'll see all kinds of boats all around, from big 50-footers to jet skis.
The last time I was down here, started out as an early evening. It worked into a little bit of a later evening. And there was this most beautiful wooden boat that came up here and docked. And it was just the most pristine thing I'd ever seen. I was just sitting there salivating out at the outside bar. And I was half tempted to, buy the guy a bunch of drinks just to get him drunk so I could steal his boat. And
right.
You could try to figure out, where did I park this?
Yeah. I tease people. They always say, Joe, where's your boat? I said, well, you're standing in it, My boat is the dock.
That's right, get a good storm.
Yeah, God, no, I don't really say it, knock on wood. So.
Well, honestly, have you had any problems with flooding? This is literally over water.
Yeah. We've had one. There was a tidal surge a couple months ago. The big one, the big nor'easter up in New England, if you remember that one. And the surge came down the river, and the water got to the top of the dock. So if you weren't paying attention, you could have just walked right into the river. And the chef, who's been here for 20 years, said we were about 3 feet away from trouble. So we've had trouble knock on the door, but it's never kicked its head. And apparently in the past 20 years, not since, what was the big one in Annapolis?
Isabel. 2003.
That was the last time they had water come over the dock, but even then it didn't get into the kitchen, which is the most important thing. The kitchen is on the water. So we are literally, like you said earlier, we are literally on the water.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I want to talk a little bit about, and I also mentioned that you are a Hall of Famer, and this is kind of a big deal. This it's maybe not as prestigious as the football or the baseball,
right?
But damn, you are named in the National Bartenders Hall of Fame for your career, both as a bartender. Where'd you get your start? Georgetown, was it?
Georgetown, Washington, D.C. I grew up in D.C. and started bartending. I got my first degree from American University, and while I was there...
From where?
American U.
Really? My daughter just graduated there.
Oh, great school.
Yep.
Kogod School of Business. I got a degree in marketing, which I use to this day, and human psychology was my minor, which I use to this day. I got my second degree in emergency medicine, which I use to this day. I wanted to be the first guy to jump off an ambulance and give somebody some oxygen and somebody else a Bloody Mary, but that was my connection to first responders. Rear his head again, but... Yeah, so I bartended in Georgetown, paying the bills and helping my father and mother paying for college, and the bar business just stuck. And it got a quick story, if you allow me to ramble, is I had gotten my degree in emergency medicine. And all my friends, I grew up in an Irish neighborhood, and to this day I still hang out with them. Two bartenders, 2 firefighters, 2 cops, and 1 priest. It sounds like a bar joke.
Joke, right?
But it's true. And so all the firefighters, they wanted me to become a firefighter, but I got the bug way too late. Long story short, they snuck me on an ambulance one night, and I probably shouldn't tell the story, but
too late.
We got into a house where there was trouble in Southeast, and the people in the house opened fire on the ambulance. So I gave them all, the guys, the firefighters, a great big hug and kiss, and I said, I'm going back to bartending. I love you guys. And then the club I was working at, it was a club called Lulu's in the Blackie's House of Beef years ago. About 2 weeks later, there was a shootout there. And I had just started, I had grown up in Annapolis, and I'd started wanting to move to Annapolis, and I met my future wife. And a buddy of mine was opening up a place called the Eastport Clipper.
Okay.
You remember the Clipper?
Yep, now it is the Blackwell Hitch.
Blackwell Hitch.
I moved down here right when it was the end of the Eastport Clipper.
Okay.
It was still in existence, and it closed down for a little bit. It became...
Rockfish? Was it Rockfish?
It was Rockfish,
Yep. I worked there, too.
Yeah.
I opened that one, too. So it was time to come down. And like I said, I grew up on the Severn River coming here in the summer times, and so I've always had a soft spot for Annapolis. And so that was my transition from D.C. to Annapolis. But in the back of my head, even then, I had been looking at properties in Adams Morgan, etc. And during this whole time, I've been doing what I've always done. I've been bartending and fundraising and all that. And a friend of mine who was in the Bartender Hall of Fame, to segue back to what we started about, he had put me up, nominated me years and years ago. It takes a long time because there's tens of thousands of people that get nominated.
And you probably have to be old, too.
Yeah. I was still young at the time. He's a lot old. He's my mentor, Billy Riley. But, so Tracy, my wife, got the call a couple weeks ago. They were saying Joe's very close, and she's sending him pictures and information and a bunch of flyers from previous fundraisers, and I got the call, and they said, congratulations, and what color do you want your ring to be? And I've got this beautiful Hall of Fame ring, and
with a green stone.
Joseph Daniel Patrick at your service, John.
To match the blood as it comes out.
That's right, exactly right. So yeah, I'm real proud of it. I'm a little embarrassed by it. I've been very blessed from my beautiful wife, Tracy, who's been by me every step of the way, to my best friend,
she's the one that
Stan.
keeps you in line.
Well, see, we've always said that she's the and in Stan and Joe's that keeps us out of trouble.
Okay.
So, and God bless her. I couldn't have done it without her. Wouldn't want to have done it without her. And I was very fortunate to become good friends with Stan when I moved down here. And all my life I've had really good teams behind me and built good teams, and that's part of the business.
Well, has the bartending business, I mean, when did you get your start in bartending? What year would you... I mean, you're a little bit younger than me, so we're talking like 80s?
Mid-80s.
Okay.
Mid-80s.
We tended bar at the same time. At that point, I worked for another nightclub up in Philadelphia for about 5 years. And, I mean, we were talking screwdrivers, fuzzy navels, and beer.
Correct.
Okay, that's about it. I mean, then every now and then you'd have that jackass that saw the movie Cocktail and came in with whatever that fake drink was that they made in the movie.
Yeah, I remember.
But I sit there and as I drink, and it's like, we've got the crushes and we've got this and we've got, and I'm like, all the flavored vodkas, and I'm like, oh my God, I would die.
Yeah.
I was a beer tender.
Oh yeah, if you threw me behind the bar at one of the more upscale bars in Indianapolis area, I would fail, or I'd be pitching a lot of blarney about drinks. I know the smoked, Gouda cheeseburger, vodka tonic. I know nothing about it. And that's we do some fun fruity drinks down here because we're on the water. But West Street, the fruit.
Are there any
drinks,
umbrellas in your inventory, like for the drinks? Do you
not
have
yet.
umbrellas? Not yet. Okay.
We do have buckets though. People like to drink out of buckets here with big straws. And the thing that I've seen, and what you're alluding to, is the growth of the business. And beers have gone from 6 taps of Bud Light, Miller Lite. Now I get a daily call from someone who's brewed a Chipotle Stout, pumpkin spice, lager. It's amazing. When you and I were bartending, there were probably 10 bottles behind the bar and 10 beers.
Yeah.
And now it's every day. I got a phone call yesterday. The new thing coming out now, and this is peanut butter bourbon. It's delicious.
It sounds like it.
It's really good. But what's next? We had the whole. There was a big vodka push about 3 or 4 years ago, and it wasn't just vodka. It was Fruit Loop vodka and cranberry vodka and lime vodka. And
right.
It was crazy. They're just trying to keep reinventing the wheel, and then eventually it all gets lost in the minutia. The beer thing is starting to turn back on itself. In my feeling, because there's just only so many flavors, and I think they're running out of ideas.
Well, I've often wondered. I mean, and the craft beer is something relatively new, and I mean, I think it's got an awful lot of legs to it. But I just wonder. It seems like, as you said, you've lost the. I go out and drink it. Buddy, what are you drinking? Bud Light.
Right.
Why do you drink Bud Light? It's solid anywhere I go.
Yeah.
I can drink it in London, and it's the same damn Bud Light as I drink down here at Stan Joe's Riverside. It's the same one I drink up at Stan Joe's West Street, and it's solid. It's available and everything else. I would just wonder whether the craft beer market is going to change back into, just the main,
I think it'll shrink down on itself. The beer world will have grown. And eventually it's going to stop going outward and start coming back inward. You'll get you get a lot of beers of the month and you get a lot of seasonal beers now. And the bigger beer companies are buying up the little beer companies, and once that happens, it seems that the experimentation seems to stop. But we use a bunch of little ones up at West Street. We try to go local, and you get some fun beers. We just had the Chocolate Fest yesterday or a couple days ago. Hershey and Yingling got together, and they made a chocolate lager, and it was delicious. But they only made it once. There's a lot of companies that make it once, and then they don't make it again to keep it fresh.
That's kind of neat.
It was really good. And it was both, the history of Pennsylvania,
sure.
Hershey's and Yingling, two of the oldest companies
Yingling
in town.
is the oldest brewery in the country,
I believe you're right.
I think so. I think so. Well, it's funny that you talk about they make it once and done. And that's one thing that pissed me off about you guys is when you competed in the Wing Festival.
Yes.
ABC puts on the Chesapeake Bay Wing Festival.
Yeah.
or the Maryland. I think it's called now the Maryland Wing Festival now at this point. But
Yep.
you made something that a couple of years ago that was just off the charts great, and you can't get it.
Oh,
And I'm like,
yeah.
sons of a bitch.
Well, we had 24 flavors. Luckily, my chef didn't quit that next day. But we were all. That was a great day. ABC does a great job on its events, and they also do the seafood festival. And
They do this.
We have a lot of fun working with
And
Brandon.
they had the Hispanic festival
That's right.
this year. That was the first year last year, and that was really. I mean, for a first year festival, I thought that did really well.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a
And
lot of
it's
fun.
only going to grow. Everything they seem to touch seems to grow. And
Fiesta Latina, I think is what it was called.
I love the fair. I live right there, and the fairgrounds I think is such a. It's utilized, but it never seems to get the. It's just such a great venue. I wish more for it. And
I wish that there would be somebody, whether it be the county executive or a giant fundraising, or maybe they need new management there or something like that, to drop about $3 or $4 million into it.
absolutely.
You've got that natural amphitheater bowl there.
Yeah.
Why can't we terrace that out or something like
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I love sitting there, and all the events we do, I'll always find right around sunset, find a spot, and I'll just sit down and enjoy the music. And like you said, it's a natural theater. It's a, theater. Would be great there. Stuff under the stars.
So what do we not know about Stan and Joe's? What are you most proud about between all the Stan and Joe's?
I'm proud of the relationship we've developed with not only Annapolis, but we have regulars that come in every year for the boat shows, and they only come once a year, but they come to us. I'm really proud also of the fact that every town has a bar where all the other bar people go, and that seems to be us. Any night you go in there, you'll find a lot of local bartenders hanging out there. And when people say, well, where should I go? Oh, you should go to Stan and Joe's. That's where the locals go. So I love that. I love that a lot.
Well, it's funny. You really do tap into the local market, much more so than any numbers. I know that when Kitchen opened up at the Lowe's Hotel, formerly Lowe's Hotel,
Right.
they wanted to be this place where all the locals went, and a little bit more of an upscale than
Absolutely.
And it just didn't work. And when Baroque opened up, that was they tried that, and then it just didn't work. But the locals do embrace you. It's funny, we talk about Annapolis being a very casual town, and I mean, you guys are the epitome of casualness when it comes to Annapolis.
Right.
And certainly down here in South County, I was talking to a friend of mine who is a financial planner. They'll button down, tight tie, and the shiny shoes and the pressed pants and everything else. And he told me that I can't buy a decent pair of dress shoes in this town because nobody stocks them.
Right.
Because it's so casual.
You can get docksiders all you want, but
And that's one of the things that I love about this area is that it's blue jean shorts and flip-flops will take you 90% of the places that you need to go.
Right.
It's just wonderful. But moving down here had to be a big, proud moment as well.
Yeah. It's been a long time to get here, but it was always the goal. It was always the goal. And then when I met Stan, he had similar goals, and here we are,
And for those that haven't been down here, this has two big decks. It's not even two. It's got a big wraparound deck. It's a big
Right.
U-shaped deck that goes on either side of this building. And during the summer, and certainly during good days during the fall and the winter and the spring, out there you've got the umbrellas. You're literally over the water. The water. Bring your fishing rod.
Yep.
Get a rail seat and you just fish right off.
I'll cook it for you. You catch it, I'll cook it. So, yeah, it's about 200 seats outside, and we're inside in the dining room. There's another 60 inside. So
that gives you an idea of where you're... Where the focus is when you come down to Stan Joe's Riverside.
Right. So, but, it's real nice in here that we were contemplating closing it for the winter, but not very hard. It's a beautiful room, we're looking around at the twinkle lights, and it's $1 million view. And I always say to people, if I can get them to come here, I got them.
Right.
Once they're here, they'll come back. Because I've been here a year and a little bit, and every day I see something new.
Well, the thing that's really, it's been a problem in Anne Arundel County is that we have such limited access to water just as citizens that live in Anne Arundel County.
Right.
There's not very many public accesses to the rivers, and we've got more water frontage than any other county in the state.
Right.
You look at restaurants that are on the water, and it's in the county, I can probably think real hard, maybe 10. Very few that are at water's edge.
Right.
And it just amazes me that this is the most beautiful thing that we've got going for this county.
Right.
And there's so few opportunities to get here. And you've been able to plan it actually not at Water's Edge, but on the water, which I think is just amazing. It's
like I said, I'm looking out the window right now. It's like glass out there. It never gets old. Never gets old.
Do you have live music down here?
We do a little bit of live music in the wintertime. We're still dancing with the liquor board about getting something outside. Well, and we want to keep it simple down here. You know, we have neighbors. We close up here at 10 o'clock.
Well, that's the problem. Your neighbors are across the river, which sound travels pretty quickly, and they're like 20 miles away from you.
And I get it. They're spending a lot of money for these. They want to hear their own music. They don't want to hear ours, and I respect that. And you know, we one guy with a guitar out there and unamplified, and but then we decided we're going in front of the liquor board in a couple months to ask if it's okay to put one musician out there with playing a little Buffett and Bob Marley and that kind of thing. That's all you need. A little background music, but live.
Right.
Because we love live music.
Well, that is the place. It's funny. Do you get on Reddit at all?
No, I don't.
Okay. You give me that look like what is this Reddit? Like,
right.
It's a social media site. It's no rules. It's kind of cool. But you guys are always coming up as in the Annapolis subreddit. Anything you could possibly be into, they've got little subreddits and rooms that you can chat about.
Oh, cool.
And every now and then, not every now and then, a lot of times you have people say, hey, where to go, what to do. And Stan and Joe's comes up. Best happy hour is one of the ones. It's an extended happy hour.
Right.
So that's, always good. The prices are very fair. And the staff is really good. I mean, I know Mike, your manager, has been, he's been with you for a long, long time.
8 years now. That's one of the things we're really strong about. And in this business, John, with so many new restaurants and et cetera, the pool of staff, available staff members, has gotten very diluted. We're very blessed we have Espo, our head bartender, has been there since before it was Stan and Joe's. We have 3 other bartenders that have been there about 7, 8 years. It doesn't really happen anymore in our business that you get long-term professional bartenders and servers. It's a dying breed. I really feel that.
Well, that was something way back when you had that, and then we went through a period, like you said, it was like, okay, somebody pushed the button. It was like, oh, you get up, rotate. You're 2 bars to the left.
Yeah. That's how I did in Georgetown. That's what you'd move up. You'd go I went from a beer on the floor rugby college bar to a live music bar to the Champions, one of the first sports bars, and it was moving up the ladder. Right. But we're very blessed down here, too. We have a bartender that's been here for 12 years and a couple of staff members we've kept on. People like familiarity. They like to see the same face. I think that's why we do so well having other restaurateurs come into our place, because they always know they'll know somebody behind the bar every time.
Was getting acclimated down here a tough thing for you? I mean, you've got a year under your belt now. And I mean, I know how neighborhoods can be. It's like, oh, those new guys, we don't,
Yeah, well, I mean, the Galesville.
Oh man, he's wearing flip flops. You know,
we had a lot of input of what we should do and what we shouldn't do, and the Galesville people have been very friendly, very open arm. They're very excited to have some fresh blood and some fresh ideas, fresh kitchen, that kind of stuff. But you really can't. We really didn't come down here to reinvent the wheel. It's good, simple food, crabs, and the best view in town. And we're gonna play with the outside bar a little bit, have some fun with that this summer, because that was a little bit underutilized. And we rely on them in the wintertime to come in the slow time, so we wanted to make sure we were good friends with them. And they have been very open-armed. We've had some fundraisers here for them already. They're building a brand new firehouse.
Right.
We've been reached out to them and worked with them, and so
because you want them to come if you need them.
Yeah, especially here. We're not going to be jumping in the water and splashing. But we're running the same playbook, same ideas that we did at West Street, just to get to know the locals and try not to overthink it and try not to reinvent the wheel. It's good food and good service. Any restaurant, it's good food, good service, and that's probably the other way around. Service can outweigh food.
I can tolerate long waits. I can tolerate wobbly tables, and and all of that. You give me, it's just as you said, good food and good service, or good drinks, and I'm a fan. I'm coming back here. Congratulations, Joe McGovern, on 14 years up in West Street.
Correct.
On 1 year down here at Stan and Joe's Riverside on Galesville. Actually, is this Galesville Road?
Yeah.
Is it
Galesville Drive? No, okay. I'm sorry. This is Riverside Drive. Right.
Okay.
Galesville Road ends.
Dead ends, and take it right onto Riverside.
Right.
Into the Stan and Joe's Riverside parking lot.
Yes.
And, and congratulations on the Hall of Fame bartender.
Thank you very much. I'm very blessed.
That's a huge deal when you consider all the bartenders there are.
I'm humbled.
It's probably a little bit more exclusive than the Hall of Fame in football because there's, you've got a much bigger crowd that you needed to beat out.
Yeah, it's an international award, so that's I'm very proud of it. And like I said, I'm very blessed.
Well deserved. Well, congratulations to you. Congratulations to Stan. Congratulations to And. Who sits there?
The boss lady.
To Tracy, who sits there in the middle and keeps you guys under control.
I wouldn't do it without her.
For those that have not been down here, get down to Galesville. It is a moderate traffic, a 20-minute drive from Annapolis.
Not too bad.
It's not too bad, and you will never regret the view that you've got down here.
Amen.
If you have a boat, come on down here and tie up in the plenty of slips available right now in the winter, but certainly in the summer it'll get a little bit tighter. Give it a shot. You change up your menus a couple times a year.
Seasonally, yeah. We're off of the local crabs, but now we're doing fresh local oysters delivered daily.
Now, is this menu the same as West Street?
No, two different menus. More seafood, a lot more seafood here, but we did bring some of the West Street food down here. The stogies were, and the burgers are really good, and the prime rib we brought down with us. So. Before it was a lot of seafood. Now it's a lot of seafood and
you brought some pub food
stuff.
into
pub grub.
Is there a separate website for Stan and Joe's Riverside, or is it just Stan and Joe's?
StanandJoe'sSaloon.com, and you have prompts to go to either restaurant.
Fantastic. Joe McGovern, thank you very much.
Pleasure, John.
Thanks for listening to this special podcast for Ion Annapolis. Please be sure to visit ionannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinions. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Ion Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you your local news direct to your phone or tablet every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Subscribe on iTunes or Google Play.